Joseph Murphy dedicated decades to teaching that material wealth is not a matter of luck, but the result of the dominant vibration that someone builds in their being. When Murphy investigated families that faced persistent financial problems, he observed a revealing and worrying pattern. These families held, without realizing it, an energetic field of limitation that reproduced itself from generation to generation, like a corrupted file playing non-stop the same melody of insufficiency. Murphy identified this pattern as vibrational heritage. He found that any family possesses a specific vibration connected to economic matters, a pattern that transmits itself through conduct, implicit values and feelings regarding financial difficulties. This family resonance acts like a hidden code, establishing not merely what someone can amass, but equally their deep relationship with wealth. Murphy perceived that many of the financial blocks that he observed did not stem from lack of capacity or bad fortune, but simply in the inherited vibration that every being incorporated since birth. This epiphany radically transformed the methodology by which Murphy viewed financial change. Preferring not to transmit just money-making techniques or investment strategies, Murphy concentrated on something fundamental, transmuting the vibrational energy concerning money that each individual received from their family legacy. Murphy narrated extraordinary cases of individuals who were able to transcend this received resonance by means of specific procedures of subconscious reprogramming. One of these cases addressed an entrepreneur named Roberto, whose family endured a persistent cycle of economic collapse that remained successively. His forefather had suffered the loss of everything he possessed in a ruinous venture. His father had faced bankrupt businesses, and Roberto, even though dedicating himself to work obsessively, saw himself repeating the same destructive pattern. Every time he was able to collect some significant amount of resources, an event occurred inexplicably, and the subject experienced the loss of everything. It was as if there existed an invisible agency harming his deliberate efforts. Murphy worked with Roberto for several months, revealing to him a fundamental pillar that would constitute the base in his entire thought. The hidden mind does not differentiate between capital that belongs to you and wealth your ancestors believe to be worthy. If in your inner self exists the pattern that fortune is dangerous, that growing financially is risky, that financial tranquility is deceptive or fictitious, thus your unconscious mind will work tirelessly to preserve you in this resonance, for it represents the real fact. The unconscious does not question. It just fulfills the codes that were installed in your being through experiential heritage. Roberto ultimately understood that he was not slothful or deficient. He was conditioned, and conditionings can be remodeled. Murphy revealed that when you reformulate the dominant vibrational pattern in your mind, you transform the command that you give to your unconscious. It is similar to reconfiguring a computer that was operating with obsolete software, which is dysfunctional. If the program stays established to receive only a specific amount of patrimony, then that is exactly what you will obtain, without considering how much sacrifice you make. Murphy attested this concept through meditative visualization approaches that he had created over years. He guided his clients to spend approximately 5 to 10 minutes each morning, if possible right upon waking when the psyche is situated in receptive alpha waves, conjuring the image of not just the arrival of resources in their journey, but mainly the deep feeling of stability, true faith and personal value that comes along with this manifestation. Murphy insisted absolutely that this sensation represented the true key. It was not the fortune by itself that had importance for the transformation. It formed the energy that the person created in relation to money. With Roberto, Murphy set in motion a process that he named Ancestral Vibrational Transmutation, a practice that he had developed through countless successful cases. Roberto would have to, for 60 days, spend a quarter of an hour nightly when going to sleep in a deep meditative state. In this meditative state, Roberto should identify with total clarity the entire financial legacy of his ancestors. He should mentally evoke his close ancestor facing the economic disaster, his parent facing bankrupt businesses, and all this ancestral lineage who preceded him carrying like patterns. Then, on the mental plane, Roberto should enunciate with genuine feeling, "I recognize your path. I honor with reverence the sacrifice you made. I recognize the importance of the path you walked and the difficulties you faced. Nevertheless now, in this precious instant, I liberate this frequency of lack from my consciousness. I fix a new resonance for my family. From now on in my existence, movement of wealth, prosperity, and economic security constitute the main vibration that guides my paths and my personal universe. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new, illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy formulated a principle that he designated Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a truth that he had confirmed in hundreds of experiences. This principle sustains that the external world always corresponds exactly to the dominant inner world. If in your interior you resonate with genuine fear of economic insufficiency, then the external world will present constantly situations that validate this dread and confirm your limiting conviction. If inside you there exists true faith in your natural wealth, then the external world will bring possibilities that strengthen and cultivate this confidence. The most transformative trait of this principle is that it acts without depending on your current state or your past history. A person completely indebted who changes their predominant frequency to abundance will give start, over weeks, to notice subtle alterations that are apparent. These modifications tend to be subtle at the start, but are indicators of a profound change. An unexpected expense is impeded since you determine to reject making a hasty acquisition. A possibility emerges because you found yourself in better mental disposition to talk with a significant person. Your physical totality starts to pulse in a diverse vibration. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To establish this vibrational transformation that was stable and transforming, Murphy formulated a method organized in 3 steps that he viewed as totally necessary for victory. The first step is what Murphy termed conscious ancestral recognition, and he reiterated that it was impossible to move forward without ending truly this first step. In this step, you need to expend time genuinely identifying the complete financial trajectory of your family. This does not signify holding responsible your forebears or rejecting them with negative frequency. It equates to simply perceiving with total transparency what they endured, the intense pains that they endured, the patterns that they established as a system of resistance in periods of difficulty. Murphy perceived that various beings sought to pretend this uncomfortable history, sought to make believe there was nothing, and this obstructed irremediably the deep transformation. It continues being completely impossible to become free from what you reject consciously to view. Murphy taught his apprentices to initiate this simple technique, which is life-changing. In the night hours, if possible before sleeping, when the mind finds itself more receptive, Position yourself in absolute silence. Do breaths with depth several times. And psychically meditate deeply on your forefathers. Imagine the figures of your ancestors. Identify the challenges that they faced. Express mentally with honesty words like, "I recognize that you, my male ancestor, faced traumatic losses that created intense dread in your mind. I welcome that you, my progenitor, created preservation tools that propagated ahead through generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet, and becomes something you see with absolute clarity, and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words, but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy clarified that this proclamation works since it creates a new dominion in your essence. You are not rejecting your lineage or your history. You find yourself merely practicing your inalienable right as a knowing entity who is autonomous to select a different vibration. Murphy had witnessed diverse cases validated where this proclamation, when expressed with sincere and genuine emotion, produced a vibrational rupture so powerful and deep that perceptible alterations began in a matter of days. He maintained recorded cases where people communicated vibrant dreams and remarkable dreams in the moments subsequent to the affirmation. Oniric experiences where their ancestors gave the impression of, to validate this alteration with discreet consent and energetic consent. Despite the fact that Murphy showed himself a scientific man who was meticulous in his general approach, he recognized that there were occurrences that escaped strictly material reason and rational logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he sustained this sensitive manifestation and lived, Murphy oriented with conviction. Say internally with total certainty, "My dominant vibrational pattern now becomes awakened abundance. My body oscillates perfectly with monetary solidity. My deep being establishes itself completely renewed, capacitated to receive with generosity, to be worthy fully, and to retain perpetually abundance. My energy is aligned perfectly with opening, infinite movement, and infinite elevation. The want that was transmitted eclipsed itself fully eternally. The prosperity that forms my natural spiritual legacy firms itself in this moment as the eternal truth of my living. Murphy reiterated categorically that these declarations must be uttered not superficially from habit or superficially, but with real intensity of feeling, with truth that springs from the chest, as if you found yourself declaring the most important truth and basic of your complete life. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy recommended that this last stage be executed daily, absolutely without pauses, for a term of 40 days successive. He had selected the period of 40 days, given that he had noted in numerous cases that it was precisely the necessary period for a new resonance to firm itself fully as the dominant pattern in the core of the deep being. The initial period of 14 days concerned rooting and consolidation of the new vibrational pattern. The new vibration still presents itself as tenuous and inconstant. It still competes powerfully with the old vibrations that try to persist. In the period of 15 to 28 days, something deeply modifies and unties itself. The new vibration commences progressively to acquire genuine potency, to live more organic and genuine, more fundamental to your deep being. In days 29 to 40, the new vibrational pattern finally firms itself as the prevailing pattern that rules your responses. After 40 days of permanent realization and authentic practice, Murphy verified that his disciples shared an emotional alteration so substantial that it was visible even to external observers. The dread that immobilizes concerning money reduced considerably until disappearing. The guilt of prospering and accepting dissolved itself integrally. A security which was quiet, radical, and unbreakable in the future, abundance started to arise naturally from within. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly, an unexpected expense that was providentially avoided, a casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins, always, with small synchronicities, indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy emphasized a fundamental point that countless disregarded entirely during their implementation. In this interval of 40 days of disciplined practice, the concrete acts equally possess fundamental importance. The vibration establishes the adequate soil, but you continue needing to cultivate the valor to proceed. If a chance surges in your path, you require to possess the bravery to explore it sincerely. If an idea emerges regarding how to expand your inputs or to multiply your inputs, you have to be willing to carry it out with determination. Murphy called this aligned action, and it showed itself completely essential. It forms the movement that sprouts fluidly once your vibration has transformed to prosperity. This movement is substantially dissimilar from the desperate attitude seated in fear. It is act that is resolute, crystal clear, instinctive, and exact. Murphy identified that once those who sought him sustained the adequate vibrational pattern and acted regularly in harmony with this vibrational pattern, the doors opened in manners that prior had the appearance of absolutely impossible or close to miracle. The course that Joseph Murphy offered was essentially a way of genuine liberation and genuine. It did not form evasion from true obstacles. It was facing the factual truth that you were structured by inherited vibrational pattern, and choosing with full consciousness and with power to transform this vibration fully. It constituted admitting that you carry supreme capacity not solely to change your own existence, but to modify the entire history and coming destiny of all your family heritage. This comprehension is true power in its most essential meaning, not that force simply to conquer or to win against opponents, yet the genuine power to transcend, to metamorphose vibration, to transcend old limitations. This truth, Murphy taught with unbreakable conviction, signifies the true liberation which is material and divine that every soul seeks.